Hello everyone, I am Mandira. Welcome to my channel Smart Thinker. Today I am going to discuss the lesson Swami's Night Alone by R.K. Narayan. Before delving deep into the lesson, let us read about our author first. Rasipuram Krishna Swami Iyer Narayan Swami or R.K. Narayan was a very famous Indian writer. He was born in Madras, now Chennai. He was well known for his work set in the fictional South Indian town of Malguri. It means that our author R.K. Narayan had created an imaginary place in his mind and named the place Malguri, and he wrote about Malguri and the characters who lives in this place. And the very important or famous character of Malguri is Swami. In this story also we will read about Swami. In 1930, R.K. Narayan wrote his first novel, Swami and Friends. He won the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1958 for The Guide. R.K. Narayan won Sahitya Akademi Award in 1958 for his famous writing, The Guide. In 1964, he received Padma Bhushan Award. So, let's head to the story now. Malguri Days by R.K. Narayan comprises stories about a young boy called Swaminathan. R.K. Narayan's Malguri Days has stories about a young boy called Swaminathan. Swami lived in a very small town of Malguri. Where did Swami live? He lived in a very small town of Malguri. One evening, Swami was forced to sleep alone in his father's office. Let us read about the adventures he had that night. So, what happened? One evening, Swami was forced to sleep in his father's office by his father. So, how was his experience that night? We will read in the story. Let me sleep in the hall, father, Swami pleaded. Your office room is very dusty and there may be scorpions behind your law box. When Swami was forced to sleep alone in his father's office, Swami pleaded or requested his father to let him sleep in the hall. And he said that your office is very dirty, it's very dusty, and there may be scorpions behind your law books. And he said there may be scorpions. Scorpions means bichu in this room. So he didn't want to sleep in his office room. So he requested. But his father said, there's no scorpions, little fellow. Sleep on the bench if you like. But his father said, there is no scorpions. You can sleep on the bench if you like. Can I have a lamp burning in the room? Then he requested, can I have a lamp? Because of the lamp there will be light and I will not get frightened. His father said, no, you must learn not to be afraid of darkness. You are so fearful of darkness, you should not practice this bad habit. It's only a question of habit. You must cultivate good habits. So his father said, you will not keep a lamp in this room because it's a matter of habit only. You make habit, you sleep like this only, and like this you will cultivate this habit in you. Will you at least leave the door open? Then he requested, can you please leave the door open at least? All right, but promise you will not roll up your bag and go to your granny's side at night. If you do it, mind you, I will make you the laughing stock of your school. Then his father said, okay, I will leave the door open, but you have to promise that you will not take your bed and go and live in the side of your grandmother. If you do this, then all of your friends in your school will laugh at you. Swami felt cut off from humanity. Swami felt disheartened. Swami felt very sad when his father behaved like this to him. He was pained and angry. He was very angry. He didn't like the strain of cruelty he saw in his father's nature. He didn't like the harshness or the cruelness of his father because he was forcing him to stay alone in his father's office. And he was very frightened in spite of being the fact that he was very frightened of darkness, of insects. His father was forcing him to stay alone in his office. So Swami was very disheartened, he was very sad, and he didn't like his father's cruelty. As the night advanced and the silence in the house deepened, his heart beat faster. He remembered all the stories of devils and ghosts he had heard in his life. How often had his chum money seen the devil in the banyan tree at his street end? And what about poor Mani Swami's father who spat out blood because the devil near the river's edge slapped his cheek when he was returning home late one night? And so on and on his thoughts continued. So, when it was decided that he will spend the night at his father's office, he accepted that. And when the night grew deeper and then his heart started beating faster because he was getting fearful, he was getting fearful of the environment, and he started remembering the stories of ghosts and devils he had heard in his life. He started thinking about Manisami's father who saw the ghost, and the ghost slapped his father, and because of that his father spat out blood from his mouth. So this kind of stories of ghosts and devils he started thinking again and again, and these stories were making him more fearful, and so on his thoughts continued, and he was continuing thinking about these horror stories. He was faint with fear. He was so much thinking about ghosts that it seemed like he is going to faint with fear. A ray of light from the street lamp strayed in and cast shadows on the wall. So, light from the street was coming into his room, and it was like creating shadows in his room. Through the silence, all kinds of noises reached his ears: the ticking of the clock, rustle of trees, snoring sounds, and some vague night insects humming. He covered himself so completely that he could hardly breathe. So he was very frightened. He had to stay alone in his father's office. He could hear everything. What were the things? The ticking of the clock, the sound of the clock at night. We get a very clear sound of clock na. The rustle of the trees, that means the sound of the dry leaves of the trees, branches moving because of the wind, that sound, snoring sounds, and some insects sound he could hear. And what he did afterwards, he covered himself so completely that he could hardly breathe. As he was so frightened or dreadful, he covered himself very nicely, and because of that he could hardly breathe. It was becoming difficult for him to breathe. Every moment he expected the devils to come up and carry him away. There was the instance of his old friend in the fourth class who suddenly disappeared and was said to have been carried off by a ghost to Siam or Nepal. With every possible moment, he was thinking about that a ghost will come and take him away. And he remembered one story about his friend when he was in fourth class, and the friend suddenly got disappeared. And later he got to know that maybe a ghost has taken him. So he was remembering these ghost stories and getting very frightened. Swami hurriedly got up and spread his bed under the bench and crouched there. It seemed to be a much safer place, more compact and reassuring. When he was thinking about these stories, what he did, he got up and he spread his bed under the bench. He decided, no, I cannot sleep on the bench, I will sleep under the bench. It seemed to be much safer place. He thought that this place is safer, so I will be safe here. So he placed his bed from on the bench to under the bench. He shut his eyes tight and encased himself in his blanket once again, and unknown to himself fell asleep, and in sleep was wrecked with nightmares. So what he did, he shut his eyes and suddenly he falls asleep, and in his dream also he was seeing this horrific dreams. He was seeing horrible dreams. A tiger was chasing him. His feet stuck to the ground. He desperately tried to escape, but his feet would not move. The tiger was at his back, and he could hear its claws scratch the ground, scratch, scratch, and then a light thud. Swami tried to open his eyes, but his eyelids would not open, and the nightmare continued. So, what happened? He was seeing in his dream that he is being chased by a tiger. He could hear the tiger approaching him. So he was trying desperately to move his feet, but he was unable to move his feet. He was feeling that now the tiger will jump and it will eat me or kill me. He was thinking that he wanted to open his eyes, but he couldn't do this because he was so shaken with fearfulness. It threatened to continue forever. Swami groaned in despair, and he was feeling that this kind of dream he will see the whole night, and he was making that sound. He was groaning. Groaning means a sound which we do when we are in pain. With a desperate effort, he opened his eyes. He put his hands out to feel his granny's presence at his side, as he was his habit. But he only touched the wooden leg of the bench, and his lonely state came back to him. He sweated with fright, and now he was, what was this rustling? It means after gathering courage, he opened his eyes and he was spreading his hands here and there to realize that, to know that whether his granny is there or not, because it is his habit to sit beside his granny. So he was searching his granny, but he realized that his granny was not there. So see, he was back in his present situation. He was again frightened, he was sweating, and afterwards he heard a sound. He moved to the edge of the bench and stared into the darkness. What he did? He moved himself to the edge. Edge means corner of the bench, and he stared, he looked into the darkness. What he saw? Let's see. Something was moving down. So he realized that something was moving down in the darkness. He lay gazing at it in horror. So he got very frightened. He was looking at it because something was moving in the darkness. His end had come. He thought that, okay, now I am going to die because it is the ghost, it will come and it will kill me. He realized that the devil would presently pull him out and tear him. Tear him means break into pieces. He thought that the ghost will come now and it will break my body, or it will tear me into two pieces. So why should he wait? So he was thinking, should I wait? As it came nearer, he crawled out from under the bench, hugged it with all his might, and used his teeth on it like a mortal weapon. Then he realized, then he decided that, okay, the ghost has come, it will kill me now, so should I wait? He said, no, I will not wait. What I will do? What he did? He crawled towards the ghost. It hugged him, jumped towards it, and with his all strength, Swami jumped towards the ghost, and what he did? He used his teeth. He beat the ghost. Ayyo! Something had bitten me, went forth an agonized, thundering cry, and was followed by a heavy tumbling and falling amidst furniture. And what happened then? A sound was there. What was the sound? Ayyo, something has bitten me. Somebody made this sound, that somebody cried, Ayyo, something has bitten me. In a moment, father, cook, and a servant came in carrying lights, and all three of them fell on the burglar, who lay amidst the furniture with a bleeding ankle. And afterwards, after this sound, Swami's father, their cook, and a servant came, and what they saw? They saw that there's a thief who was bleeding. Burglar means robber, looter, or thief. Okay. Congratulations were showered on Swami the next day. So the next day, everybody got this news. What news? We will read. So everybody was congratulating Swami. His classmates looked at him with respect, and his teacher patted his back. Patted his back means thapthapana, peet thapthapana. So everybody was congratulating him, even his teachers also. The headmaster said that he was a true scout, means spy. So his headmaster also praised him. Swami had bitten into the flesh of one of the most notorious housebreakers of the district, and the police were grateful to him for it. The inspector said, "Why don't you join the police when you are grown up?" So the matter is that Swami caught a very notorious thief of that district. So that day in Swami's father office, a thief entered and Swami caught the thief. So when this news got spread, so everybody got so impressed by Swami's effort or his work or his courage or his strength. So everybody praised Swami, and police officer also praised him and said that when you will grow you can join police. Swami said, for the sake of politeness, certainly yes, though he had quite made up his mind to be an engine driver, a railway guard, and a bus conductor later in life. So Swami said, for the sake of politeness, that yes, definitely he would like to join police when he will grow up, though he had made plans already. He thought that he will become an engine driver or a railway guard or a bus conductor. When he returned home from the club that night, father asked, "Where is the boy?" So when his father came back home that night, his father said that, "Where is the boy? Where is Swami?" "He's asleep already." Swami's mother replied that he is asleep. He is sleeping. His father said, "Already? Already he slept." "He didn't have a wink of sleep the whole of last night," said his mother. His mother said that he did not sleep last night, so he went to sleep early today. "Where is he sleeping?" So his father said, "Where is he sleeping?" "In his usual place," mother said casually. Then Swami's mother said, "In his usual place, where he sleeps every night, in that place." He went to bed at 7:30, and his father said and his mother said that he went to sleep early at 7:30. "Sleeping beside his grannies again," father said. "No wonder he wanted to be asleep before I could return home. Clever boy." Hearing Swami's father, his mother got angry and she said, "You let him sleep where he likes." She said that if he wants to sleep beside his grandmother, so let him sleep there. You do not need to risk his life again, because it was very risky last night. Father mumbled as he went in to change. "All right, mollycoddle and spoil him as much as you like. Only don't blame me afterwards." Then his father said, "Okay, cuddle him, give love to him, and spoil him, but don't come later to blame me." Swami, following the whole conversation from under the blanket, felt tremendously relieved to hear that his father was giving him up. So Swami was hearing the whole conversation between his father and his mother, and hearing that, he was so relieved that again his father will not force him to stay alone in his office. So he was relieved that again he will not have to experience that kind of situation that he had experienced last night.